All right, how's everybody doing? I wanted to make a quick video just in case it helped anybody. I'm replacing the rear tire on my 2012 VSTAR 950. I got the wheel off, brought it to a shop, and they put the new tire on for me. I don't have a video of me taking it apart, but I thought I'd make a quick little video, maybe showing how it goes back together. I just used a little motorcycle jack here to jack it up in the middle, and it's honestly pretty stable, but I do have it strapped down just in case. So getting the wheel off is fairly easy. On the right side you're going to have an axle nut and a washer, I believe, and this was a 27 millimeter, so I just used a 27 millimeter wrench to get that off. It's torqued pretty tight. I forget what the manual says. It was either 110 or 150, so it is pretty tight. But once you take that off, the rear axle here slides out the other side, and I believe it goes axle nut, washer, and then there's the spacer, and then the rear caliper, and then the wheel, and then just the axle on the other side with the washer here. And then there were these little spacers in the wheel that I'm going to put back. I'm going to lube everything up and clean it up before I slide it all back together. But overall, oh, and then of course this piece that sits in the wheel, obviously, that the belt's going to go around. So the hardest part of putting it back together is honestly you need like 3 hands almost. If you have someone to help you and hold everything in place while someone else slides the axle in, that makes it a lot easier. Otherwise it's pretty tricky to try to hold stuff and put it all back together. But I'm going to try, and then once you get it back, you want to go ahead and just test the belt tension. So I have a little checker that you can use to check the belt tension. I'll probably get it at like 7 millimeters with my little tool. I forget if it's 10 or 15 pounds of pressure. And obviously get the alignment good with these guys on both sides, get the belt tension, and then I'll tighten up the axle nut and check it again. Sometimes I've had it to where I tighten the axle nut, it pulls that backside a little bit more, and I just need to fine tune it from there. I've had that happen before. If you want to use a socket wrench, I couldn't fit one in between my exhaust and here, so if you have the muffler you want to take off on the end, it'd probably make it a little bit easier for you. And then while I was in here, I did change my rear brake pads just while I had it off, and all I did was unscrew this, which I think is a 12 millimeter, and slid the new pads in, depress the caliper a little bit so that the pads are going to fit over the rotor, and I'll get it all back together, hopefully without too much issue here. The other thing I forgot to mention is actually, unless you jack your bike up really high, it's hard to get it out from under this like rear fender piece. So I think this was just 2 little hex bolts, like one here and one on the opposite side, and then I think it was just 2 little 12 millimeter nuts holding this on. And once you get that out of the way, you can get the tire in and out a little bit easier. So that piece goes back in there like that, and I sprayed the shit out of it with this with this grease. And then on the other side, this guy actually slides out, so I might kind of grease that, and then that spacer goes in there. I'm just going to grease it all. I don't know if it's really necessary, but I don't think it can hurt. Okay, don't get confused with these rubber things. They sit, so I set them in the wheel, and then I put this thing on. I don't know how else you'd do it, but that way these fit in between the grooves just like that. One thing, just be careful when you're putting the brake caliper back on, and just make sure it slides over the little notch that's meant for it on the swing arm. You can tighten it down with this like below it, and obviously that's not going to work. It'll be all loosey-goosey, so just be careful there. So here I just need to put that one spacer in and line this up and get the axle through. Easier said than done, so I might wait for my friend to come back here and have her tap the axle in as I hold this in place, but we'll see. I'm still going at it. And yeah, I just greased the hell out of everything. I'm not really sure what needs to be, what doesn't need to be, but I'm using this stuff here. And same stuff I used last time I did this, and I didn't have any problems. So, all right, the axle's back in, and got it lined up, and everything's all good. So now I'm just gonna start tightening this side a tiny bit, and I'll need to hold this side with the 22. Which actually I probably don't even need to do this right now. I could probably start doing the tension and alignment and everything. But I just want to make sure that it doesn't fall off. Okay, so this just takes a little bit of back and forth. So obviously get this guy out of the way and then tighten this. And then tighten the other side. And I'll start to check the belt tension in a second here. And then it's just a little bit of back and forth till you get the alignment and the belt tension right. And then, like I said, once you tighten up the axle nut on the other side, I might even need to adjust it again. So just a little back and forth. All right, I'm at about 7 millimeters with this tool. This is crazy sensitive. So I was at like 10 and I backed it off like an 1/8 of a turn, or I tightened it 1/8 of a turn. So just once you get close, just make real minor adjustments with that guy. But knowing that once I tighten the other side and get the alignment, I might even have to adjust it again. So, all right, so I have 3 notches pretty much on the dot showing on this side, and then on this side, pretty darn similar. I just use the notches. I don't know, some people measure, some people got those crazy tools. Probably better off if you know what you're doing, really, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I just use the little notches. So I'm gonna I'll start tightening this and see what happens, see if I need to adjust it anymore from there. All right, I think I'm good. I still got about 3 notches showing on this side. I got about 3 notches on this side. And my belt tension is still pretty good. My axle nut is tight. I didn't torque it, so everyone watching, you can start yelling now. But I remember how tight it was when I took it off. And I have a pretty good feeling of how tight it should be. Just because my torque wrench isn't going to fit without taking my exhaust off, and I'm lazy, and this is my backup bike, and I think it'll be fine. So there it is. I'll probably go on a short ride with it and then just double check it all again, and I can call it a day. Overall pretty easy. Shouldn't take you more than a couple hours to take it off and put it back on altogether. So all right, thanks. And don't forget to tighten these guys back up. If you look at the manual, the torque spec on those is really low, so you don't have to go crazy or anything. Obviously the axle nut's doing all the work, but just don't forget to tighten those up. And then I got to I'll reattach this little dude, and I think I should be all set. All right, thanks everybody.